Some say that he invented November. And that if he'd won the World Championship in Brazil last weekend, there might have been one photograph of him without his father gurning in the back of shot. Some say that he doesn't like to get his helmet wet. A point that was proved last week when he was caught in the back of shot by an eagle-eyed viewer. Some say that he invented the curtain. And that he recently submitted a £20,000 expenses claim for some gravel. Yeah, now some say that last week he was found in a locked room tied to a chair with German piano wire. And that this week, MPs turned him down for the job of Speaker. Some say that he thinks crisps are animals. And that if he'd done well at Wimbledon, once in a while, he might have been able to raise a smile. Some say that he is absolutely baffled by urinals. And that on reflection, this was a bad week to launch his debut single. Some say he has 12 GCSEs, all in domestic science. And that he's been producing artificial sperm for years, even though we have repeatedly asked him not to. Some say that on Thursdays he becomes incredibly bulbous. And that recently pigs in Mexico have started to die of something called STIG flu. Some say that he cut that man's hair. And that if he compensated a soldier for getting wounded, he wouldn't try to take it all back again. Some say that his discharge is luminous. And that even as we speak, he is appearing on the main stage at Glastonbury, performing his most famous hit, Superstition. Some say there are 17 different reasons why he's banned from the Northampton branch of Little Chef. And that his favourite airline pilot is Mark Webber. Two, actually. Some say that if you hold him in the wrong way, he doesn't work properly. And that just very recently, he developed an irrational hatred of Rubens Barrichello. Some say that he spent all week daydreaming about what Rubens Barrichello would look like in a hand slicer. And that he's terrified the BBC will reveal his salary because he's paid in strong pornography. Some say the Scottish released him a little bit too soon. And that he spent all week pushing an effigy of Rubens Barrichello through his desk fan. Some say that he's recently been releasing pop records under the pseudonym of Lady Gaga. And that under his race suit, he also wears a red G-string and suspenders. Some say that in the autumn, all his arms go brown and fall off. And that if he wrote you a letter of condolence, he would at least get your name right. Some say that he has some terrible plans involving the moon. And that he was turned down for a place on I'm a Celebrity because he is one. Some say that his new Christmas range of fragrances includes the great smell of Wednesday. And that he was turned down for the job of EU president because his face is just too recognisable. Some say that the drinks cabinet in his car contains 14 different types of custard. And that while he has been known to leave his house in a bit of a hurry, he's never once hit a fire hydrant. Some say that you shouldn't go round to his house for your Christmas lunch unless you enjoy the great taste of seagull. and that the reason he always wears a helmet is because a man once smashed him in the face with a model of Salisbury Cathedral. Some say that he has to take his shoes off with an Allen key. And that his New Year's resolution is to eat fewer mice. Some say that he doesn't understand the word envelope. And that he is the only woman in Britain not to have slept with Alan Johnson's policeman. Some say he once tore a goat in half. And that he is now regretting buying his new holiday home in downtown Cairo. Some say that in his wallet he keeps a photograph of his wallet. And that in a recent race, even he was beaten by the King's speech. All we know is he's called the STIG.
Some say his skin has the texture of a dolphin's, and that wherever you are in the world, if you tune your radio to 88.4, you can actually hear his thoughts.
Some say that he has no understanding of clouds, and that his earwax tastes like Turkish delight. Some say that his politics are terrifying, and that he once punched a horse to the ground. Some say that his tears are adhesive, and that if he caught fire, he'd burn for 1,000 days.
Some say he can swim 7 lengths underwater, and he has webbed buttocks.
Some say that his heart is in upside down, and that his teeth glow in the dark. Some say that his ears aren't exactly where you'd expect them to be, and that once, preposterously, he had an affair with John Prescott. Some say he has a digital face, and that if he felt like it, he could fire Alan Sugar. Some say that his genitals are on upside down, and that if he could be bothered, he could crack the Da Vinci Code in 43 seconds.
Some say his ears have a paisley lining, and he's been banned from the Chelsea Flower Show.
Some say that the outline of his left nipple is exactly the same shape as the Nürburgring. And that if you give him a really important job to do, he'll skive off and play croquet. Now, some say he invented Branston Pickle. And that if you insult his mother, he will headbutt you in the chest. Some say that on really warm days, he sheds his skin like a snake. And that for some reason, he's allergic to the Dutch.
Some say that his first name really is The, and that if he went on Celebrity Love Island, they'd all be pregnant, including the cameramen.
Some say he once threw a microwave oven at a tramp. And that long before anyone else, he realised that Jade Goody was a racist, pig-faced waste of blood and organs. Some say that he once had a vicious knife fight with Anthea Turner. And that he is in no way implicated in the Cash for Honour scandal. Some say that he's a CIA experiment that went wrong, and that he only eats cheese. Some say that if you lick his chest, it tastes exactly the same as Piccalilli. And that at this week's Brit Awards, he was arrested for goosing Russell Brand. Some say that to unlock him, you have to run your finger down his face. Like that. And that if he were getting divorced from Paul McCartney, he'd keep his stupid, whining mouth shut. Some say that he thought Star Wars was a documentary. And that he recently pulled out of I'm a Celebrity because he's frightened of trees. And Australia. And Pooh Stark. And Ant. And Beck. Some say that he knows 2 facts about ducks, and both of them are wrong. And that 61 years ago, he accidentally introduced Her Majesty the Queen to a Greek racialist. Some say that when he slows down, brake lights come on in his buttocks. And that if he'd been the manager of the England football squad last week, he wouldn't have been a feckless, ginger gum-chewing buffoon who ruined it for all of us. Some say that he once lost a canoe on a beach in the northeast. And that he once did some time in a prison in Canterbury because his teddy is called the baby Jesus. Some say that as we speak, he is actually relaxing in the resort's pool, and he is actually. He is. Some say that after making love, he bites the head off his partner. And that he's had to give up binge drinking now that it's got to £1.18 a litre. Some say that each of his toenails are exactly the same as a woman's nipples. And that he thinks the Credit Crunch is some kind of breakfast cereal. Some say his droppings have been found as far north as York. And that he has a full-size tattoo of his face on his face. Now, some say that he isn't allowed by law within 100 yards of Lorraine Kelly. And that he's never seen an episode of Top Gear because he's a huge fan of Midsummer Murders.
Some say it's impossible for him to wear socks. And he can open a beer bottle with his testes.